Welcome back to the Sin and Life podcast. Today we are talking about something that a lot of people misunderstand. Something that when people hear the word, they immediately think that it is negative. Selfishness. Now, before you switch off or think I am telling you to stop caring about people, that is not what this episode is about. I am talking about being selfish with your future, being selfish with your time, your energy, and with your standards. Because if you do not protect those things, someone else will use them for their priorities instead of yours. I have learned this myself. For me, my priorities are simple. God comes first, then the gym, my work. Some people might hear that and call it selfish, but I do not see it that way. I see it as responsibility. Because if I neglect my relationship with God, I lose my foundation. If I neglect my health, I lose my energy. If I neglect my work, I lose the future I am trying to build. And if I let everyone else's priorities come before those things, eventually I become the one who's falling behind. That is not selfish. That's understanding what matters most. Let's start here. The word selfish has almost become an insult. If you say no to someone, you can be considered selfish. If you miss a night out because you are working toward a goal, you are selfish. If you choose to wake up early to train instead of sleeping in after a late night, someone says you are obsessed. But here is the truth. Sometimes people call you selfish simply because you stopped making yourself available all the time. And those are two very different things. There is a difference between caring only about yourself and respecting yourself enough to protect your future. Think about someone studying to become a doctor. For years, they miss parties. They spend weekends studying while their friends are out having fun. People may joke that they never come out anymore. They might even be criticized for always saying no. But years later, when they become a doctor, no one talks about the nights they stayed in. They only see the result. That's how success works. People judge the sacrifice while you are making it, but they admire the outcome once you've made it. First truth. If you do not make yourself a priority, nobody else will. People naturally focus on what's important to them. That's not a bad thing, it is just reality. Your boss has goals, your friends have plans, your family has needs. The people around you have their own lives to live. If you are never intentional about protecting your own priorities, you will slowly spend your life helping everyone else build theirs. Then you'll look up 5 years from now, wondering why your own goals never happened. Think about your phone. Every day there are notifications, text, emails, social media, calls. Every single one is asking for your attention. If you answered every notification immediately, you would never have uninterrupted time to build anything meaningful. Life works the same way. Not every request deserves your attention. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is say, "Not right now." Not because you do not care, because you are protecting something that matters. Second, protecting your peace is not selfish, it is necessary. You can't think clearly if you are constantly surrounded by chaos. You cannot grow if you are constantly pulled into another people's problems. You can't stay disciplined if you're always trying to make everyone else happy. That is why boundaries matter. They do not push good people away. They protect the life you are trying to build. I remember hearing someone say, "You can't pour from an empty cup." At first, it sounded like one of those motivational quotes people post online. But the more I thought about it, the more true it became. If you are mentally exhausted, physically unhealthy, spiritually disconnected, and constantly overwhelmed. How much do you really have left to give anyone else? Taking care of yourself isn't taking away from other people. It is making sure you actually have something valuable to offer them. Third, people will call you selfish the moment you stop being available all the time. And that's usually because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. Think about it. If you've always been the person who says yes, the person who always answers the phone, the one who always changes their plans for everyone else, the moment you start protecting your time, people notice. Not because you've become a bad person, but because you've become less convenient. There is a difference. And a lot of people confuse inconvenience with selfishness. I remember when I started taking my goals seriously. I stopped staying up late for no reason. I stopped saying yes to every invitation. I started putting God first, the gym, then my work. Some people did not understand it. Some people thought I was becoming distant. But I wasn't pushing people away. I was pulling myself closer to the life I wanted to build. Because if I skipped the gym every time someone wanted to hang out, if I ignored my work every time someone wanted my attention, if I neglected my relationship with God because life got busy, eventually I'd wake up years later realizing I'd built everyone else's life except my own. Fourth, every yes has a cost. People only think about what they gain by saying yes. Very few people think about what they lose. Every time you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. Say yes to scrolling social media for 2 hours. You are saying no to reading. Say yes to another night of drinking. You are saying no to waking up at your best. Say yes to constantly people pleasing. You are saying no to your own goals. Your time is limited. Your energy is limited. Your attention is limited. Spend it wisely. Think about someone preparing for the Olympics. Do you think they train only when it is convenient? No. Their friends might be on vacation while they are practicing. Their family might be celebrating while they are recovering. From the outside, people might think they are missing out, but from their perspective, they are investing in something bigger. Years later, when they are standing on the podium, nobody remembers the parties they skipped. They remember the result. Sixth, stop apologizing for your standards. I've noticed people do this all the time. They apologize for leaving early because they have work in the morning. They apologize for eating healthy, for going to the gym, and for protecting their peace. Why? If something is making you healthier, closer to God, more disciplined, more focused, why would you apologize for it? You do not need permission to become better. Seventh, the right people will understand. Not everyone will, but the people who generally care about you won't ask you to become less disciplined just to make them more comfortable. A real friend supports your growth. A real partner encourages your goals. A real mentor challenges you to become better. If someone constantly tries to pull you away from your purpose, you have to ask yourself whether they truly want what's best for you. Think about an entrepreneur building a business. For years, they might work weekends, miss events, put in the long hours after everyone else has gone home. People call them obsessed. People say they work too much. Then the business succeeds. Now everyone says that they are lucky. What changed? Not the work, only the results. Eighth, you cannot pour from an empty cup. This is one of the most important lessons I have learned. If you are exhausted, burned out, spiritually empty, physically unhealthy, how can you be the best son, the best daughter, the best friend, the best spouse one day? You can't give people your best if you are constantly operating at your worst. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it is responsible. Ninth, your future self is counting on today's decisions. 5 years from now, you'll either thank yourself or you'll wish you'd started sooner. Every workout, every prayer, every book, every hour spent working toward your goals. These moments are investments. They don't always feel important today, but they compound, just like interest in a bank account. Small investments made consistently create massive results over time. 10th, being selfish for your future isn't about loving yourself more than everyone else. It's about understanding that if you don't build yourself, you can't build the life you were called to live. The strongest version of you serves more people, leads more people, helps more people, inspires more people. But you have to become that person first. Here is the reality. People are always going to have opinions. Some will call you selfish because you protect your peace. Some will call you obsessed because you stay disciplined. Some will say you've changed because your priorities changed. Let them, because one day the same people who questioned your sacrifices will admire the life those sacrifices created, and you'll know that it wasn't luck. It was the result of choosing your future every single day. So, before we end today's episode, I want to leave you with one question. What are you putting first every day? Is it your distractions, other people's expectations, or the future you are trying to build? For me, the answer is simple. God comes first, then my health, then my work. Because when those things are in order, I become a better man in every other area of my life. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. Stop feeling guilty for protecting your time. Stop apologizing for your standards. Stop letting other people's priorities become more important than your purpose. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. When you are choosing the person God created you to become, it's responsibility. Because nobody is coming to build your future for you. That is your job. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Ascend in Life podcast. If this episode challenged your perspective, be sure to follow the podcast, leave a rating, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Until next time, keep God first, keep raising your standards, keep protecting your future, and keep ascending. I'll catch you in the next episode of Ascend in Life.